Hey guys, so I know it's been a while. I just wanted to make a quick video on why I chose my Tacoma. Now, with all that said, I used to have a Toyota FJ Cruiser. That was my daily. Had a Land Cruiser 80 series. Had an older first gen Tacoma, and have kind of been like on and off with switching between truck and SUV for different purposes. And this has been pretty much kind of what I wanted. Although I kind of fantasize about getting a 200 series Land Cruiser one day, or even something along those lines, like even a 5th gen 4Runner. I think the Tacoma kind of did it for me, and for you guys that are kind of trying to figure out what you want to purchase, whether that's a truck or an SUV, these are some things to consider, and here's why I went with this one. So the biggest thing about the difference between the SUV and the truck platform is obviously the bed space. So with that, you want to consider, are you going to be using the bed as much as you are needing like that space for carrying luggage, carrying camping gear, and all that. And I'll walk around. The nice part with the Tacoma is you do have 5 seats. Now you can't really fit 5 people in there comfortably. It's more like 4. But if you have a small family, that works. So you can see here, I got climbing pads, just a whole bunch of stuff, some trash too. And so for my use, the shell is nice, and especially having had SUVs where I would transport, like, just say like kind of more nasty stuff that I wouldn't want inside the cab. The truck bed is very nice to have that separation between the cab and everything that else, like say like dogs and stuff, right? So if you have dogs, throwing them in the back is much more convenient, and having the dogs be super messy and all that fur, you have that separation, which is nice. Also, if you're taking stuff like trash and oil, if it spills in the bed, it's not too bad, right? So that's what I think is huge between the SUV platform and the truck platform. So some things to consider too. Now with the truck platform, because you have a bed, the off-road capability just isn't the same. So I do think my Tacoma rode a lot nicer than my FJ, but that's because of the longer wheelbase. Depending on the situation, it was different, at least, especially for people in the backseats of my FJ, they just hated it. But in the Tacoma, it's a little bit nicer because you do have that longer wheelbase. But because of off-roading, for the most part, you want a shorter wheelbase. So I would say that's a huge plus between the or compared to the truck platform. You can see if maybe I had the shorter cab, which is the half cab, or not the half cab, the access cab, I would have a shorter wheelbase. Hence why I went with the short bed. So yeah, I mean, those are some things that, like, you aren't being able to turn around is going to be a lot harder with this truck compared to an FJ Cruiser or 4Runner. So in really tight spots for off-roading, and you're wanting the maximum turning radius, that is something to consider for sure. So it works out for me because since I bought this truck, I've actually really gone away from off-roading and have done a lot more, I guess, overlanding, and maybe that's less of a term, but the trails I really go on, my truck is absolutely overkill for it. Like, I really don't need the long or the mid-travel suspension that I have, the Icon in there, the winch and all that. But what's nice is, because it's overkill, it works out to my favor that if something was to happen, I'm very, very confident in my vehicle. And honestly, most of the stuff that I do, that's why the truck is nicer. The Tacoma is great pretty much at everything, but it's not particularly amazing at everything. Where I felt that the FJ Cruiser was very, very good. Same with the Land Cruiser. That platform, because of its shorter wheelbase, more of a 50-50 weight distribution, where this is a lot more front heavy if you don't have stuff in the back. You do lose the rear end a lot. So truck platform, off-road, I think definitely the SUV wins. But like I said, you know, like, because I surf, I like to throw my wetsuit back in there. This is more of a great daily driver for me. You know, tossing the dirt bikes in the back, it's just much easier than, you know, throwing a trail or a hitch receiver for a motorcycle and transporting it that way. So being able to sleep in the back too is kind of cool. I know you can do that with an SUV. I do think you have a little bit more space on a truck style platform. And I think that's why people go with it. Having that separate between the cab itself and the truck bed is nice. And having the truck where you can put a camper shell on it, I think makes it really kind of like you have an SUV still. But obviously you got the separation, right? So if you want to put smelly stuff, you know, like put wood in there. I would never do that with my SUV. I mean, I would when I had my FJ, but it was just kind of like, oh man, this sucks. Like, I'm smelling what's in there. So yeah, so those are some things to consider, especially if you're looking at a Sequoia, you know, you're comparing a Jeep, right? Jeep Wrangler Sport or Unlimited versus a Gladiator. So if you do want a little bit more space, truck is great. And, you know, maybe you're not doing as serious or as crazy off-roading. Great. And I know you can build these truck platforms to be very, very good. That rear end is really rear happy, especially if you don't have weight in the back. And it's almost like, okay, if you have weight towards the front of the bed, it doesn't make much of a difference. You would need to put weight more towards the back so that you have those, I guess, weights more sitting on top of the axle than it is in front of it. Otherwise, it wouldn't make much of a difference. And also the clearance, right? The clearance on a truck isn't great in the rear. I've hit this rear end many, many times. I don't know if you can see it, but it's not too much. But I do hit it a lot, especially on steep inclines. But yeah. All right, guys, so I hope that helps. Especially when, you know, you're making a big purchase, right? SUV versus truck. Both are very great, and having experienced both, just for my purposes, it works out that a truck is better. But your lifestyle is gonna be different, right? So I hope this helps. And, you know, when looking into purchasing something super big, or, you know, it's a vehicle that you want to keep for a long time, these are some things to consider, and I hope it helps. Off-road happy, you know, whether you're stock, whether you're SUV, or any of those things, you'll be just fine. Just make the right decision for you.